Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Danielle. I chat all about holistic and clutter-free spaces, and I've shared a lot in the past about how I'm really into yoga and meditation. Honestly, what I love about it though, I do love the movement. It feels really good. But what I really love is this whole intentional way of thinking. And that's something that I've always really nerded out on. I love psychology. I love thinking about how we think and really just getting in tune with as many things as I can get in tune with. I really feel like there's so much that we can draw from just the concepts in yoga. You don't have to go do yoga to watch this video, but just the concepts in yoga and how they can translate into our relationship with our environment. I think there's this wonderful parallel between this calmness and intentionalism with our bodies and the calmness and intentionalism that we can bring into our space. So that's what I want to talk about today. I thought that it would be fun to kind of share some of the little tidbits that I nerd out on while I'm doing yoga. And I'm like, oh, that translates into our space so perfectly. In particular, 11 words or concepts in yoga that could easily be translated into your space to really help you to create a more calm, intentional living environment. Let's do it. The first is this concept of coming back to center. You don't do yoga on just like half of your body and then forget about the other half. There's always this balance, right? This coming back through center and then entering the other side, because you also don't just jump over to doing tree on one side and then hop and you're doing tree on the other side. There's a part of it that is just coming back to center and being and resetting before you go into balancing out on the other side. On a deeper level, it's not really just about balancing out muscle tone or, about the safety of moving from one position to another, but it's about being centered, getting back to a mental and physical neutral state that makes you feel more grounded. It makes you feel more secure in everything that you're doing, and it allows you to connect back to whatever your intention was to doing the practice. Coming back to center for your space might be like several resets or checkpoints throughout your day that allow you to get your home back to a neutral state so that you're able to open your eyes the next morning and not feel like you're still drowning in yesterday's chaos. You can't feel grounded in that chaos. You can't feel centered in that chaos. You can't make decisions from a place of chaos, really. You have to get back to that centered, neutral state in order to accurately assess what you're looking at. Even for decluttering, you need to get back to a neutral space in order to determine if you do have too many things or what areas you might need to look into decluttering. Because if you try to make those decisions in the middle of some kind of a chaotic mess, well, the decisions that you're making are going to be a little bit skewed. So coming back to neutral, to connect to your intentions, to feel centered and grounded in your space is just so important. Another term that's used a lot in yoga, and really I just love this word in general, is align. Whether you're talking about aligning your body so that everything just feels good and stacked and, like supported with your core, or aligned with your values and your intentions and aligning your space with who you are as a person and just being an aligned person who makes decisions that are in line with who you are as a person and what you believe. It really is kind of a beautiful practice any way that you use the word align. Even within yoga, alignment can come with so many different meanings. But one meaning that I think is a great practice and presence is the intention of aligning with what is. Literally what is right here, right now. If you're doing yoga, then what is right now on the mat? And if you're talking about your home, then what is true for you and real in your life now, today, as you currently are. We are adaptable creatures. We shift, we move, we make adjustments. It's great to strive for alignment between our space and our values, but our values change. They shift and evolve just like we do. It's more beneficial, both functionally and emotionally, to align your environment with what's true now, whatever that is. Maybe you've always been a creative person, and so you have stuff that goes along with tons of hobbies and creativity that you've dabbled in throughout the years. While creativity may be something that you value, all of those creative supplies might not be in alignment with who you are now in this moment. being in true alignment isn't always easy. Honestly, it relies a lot on trusting yourself, which is really hard for a lot of people. So let's talk about this word trust, because it comes up in both yoga and life and in your space. Yoga encourages us to embody trust, believing that the poses, our bodies, the floor, as the case may be, has us. It has our back, right? And it's this really cool practice of trusting that everything is as it should be in that moment while you're on the mat. It may not be as it should be off the mat, but it can be as it should be for that moment on the mat, which is another thing that I think makes it such a great practice. When starting a practice of letting go of stuff in your home, for example, it's completely normal and very common to feel uncertain and to not really trust your instincts when it comes to letting go of things. Am I making a mistake? Am I going to regret this later? And the more that you practice getting in tune with your own environment, the more you trust your instincts when it comes to decisions like that about your space. If something feels out of place, you learn that it's okay to let it go. It's okay to trust yourself. You choose to trust yourself and to create a space that reflects who you are and what you need. And like I said, it's not necessarily easy. It's something that takes practice. And the more you practice it, the more you trust yourself and the more aligned your space becomes. Now, in yoga, there's a pose called root to rise. I guess you would call it a pose. It's more of a movement, which basically means that you're grounding through your feet to feel sturdy and grounded as if you're connected to the earth before you rise up like a tree and your hands go out in the air. This rooting and grounding message is also used in practices like meditation, where you feel and notice the connections that you have physically to anything that you're touching, the bed that you're laying on, the chair that you're sitting on, your feet on the ground. And it makes you feel held, which we all need more than we'd like to admit sometimes. But whether you're being held by the ground or strongly rooted in a power pose, the word evokes strength and stability and resilience. It's no coincidence that people refer to their childhood home as roots. There's the song by Alice Merton called No Roots. I got no roots, but my home was never on the ground. Anyway, our home doesn't just have a foundation, they are our foundation. It's home plate. Home base, whatever. It's the place where we branch out from when we're exploring other places, but we always come back to. It's our stability, really. And the more stable, in other words, less chaotic, our homes feel, the more strong and stable and resilient we feel. It's been pretty fresh on my mind here lately because I've had a lot going on this year, a lot of losses. We've had a lot of really great things and also really not so great things. And it's made me feel a little bit adrift sometimes is the word that comes to my mind. I've lost people that I love and who I'm close to this year. And whenever you feel like you're just kind of mentally floating out to sea, it can really help to ground and root and make yourself feel rooted. Now, those of you who have been around me very long, you know that my go-to meditation app is Aura, and they were kind enough to sponsor today's video. What's different about Aura is that they collect the best stuff out there from meditation guides, spiritual guides, coaches, therapists, and then they use AI to learn what resonates with you personally, so that you're not like on the verge of a breakdown or a panic attack and then having to run around searching for the perfect piece that's going to help you to feel better. There have been many times where I'm just sitting there and I'm just spamming through several different meditations and hypnosis tracks. And, sometimes I'll find one that really connects to me personally and I'll immediately start following. One of the people I followed recently was Sarah Hansen, I think is how you say it. I worked on things like releasing stuck emotions and clearing out my energetic space. You could also call it your emotional space. And it always amazes me how much it helps. So if you would like to try it for yourself, I do have a link in the description. It's going to give you a free trial plus a 25% discount. You can go check that out. Number 5 is the concept of yin. So in yoga, where yang represents, you probably heard of yin and yang, right? Where yang represents movement and energy and the active part of yoga that you might think about, yin represents a more internal, contemplative practice. Usually this looks like maybe holding poses for longer periods of time to target different connective tissues and maybe experiencing something slightly different every time you get into or out of that pose, or just letting go mentally and physically, releasing all your muscles through stillness. It's just this internal, contemplative, relaxed type of practice. But in our homes, Yin could be represented by the concept of slow living, which a lot of you have probably heard of. This idea that encourages us to stop chasing after productivity and busyness and to quiet the noise of constant distractions. And instead to focus on simple, intentional moments, which is kind of what we're talking about today. An energy of yin invites us to connect more deeply with what's around us. It's really this shift from doing to being, which is just a general beautiful thing to practice or even just to think about, whether you're on the mat or in your living room. I'm going to go talk about my experience with stretching here lately because, stretching is essential in yoga or really any kind of fitness. And stretching isn't a one and done. You don't just stretch once and then your body is good to go. And in fact, stretching is buildable. The more you stretch, the more flexible you get. Many of you know that I broke my ankle a couple of months ago and I've been doing physical therapy for the past few weeks. And one of the exercises they have me do is this super simple task of just putting my toes against the wall like this and then trying to move my knee to that same wall, like as far as it can go. If you try that right now, it's going to be super easy. If I do it with my other leg, I'm like, this isn't even a stretch. But at first, my knee wouldn't go anywhere. It's like it stayed straight upright for my ankle. It did not go anywhere near that wall, like bone on bone, blocking me from being able to move my knee. And I was just like, how do you even stretch this? You don't stretch bone, It didn't go anywhere because I didn't have that flexibility in my ankle. I had to start from scratch. But over time and practice, slowly I became a tiny bit more flexible. And yesterday, I was only a tiny little fraction of an inch away from touching my knee to that wall. And it's the same thing with building new habits in your home. Learning to let go of things and building new habits. It might feel like bone on bone resistance. Like this just isn't happening. This isn't who I am. This is not going to work. But the more you stretch yourself, the more flexible you become and the easier the letting go becomes. And then we have flow. Now, in yoga, really the essence of flow lies in the connection between breath and movement. It's not just about moving, it's about this connection between the breath, where each movement begins with, is powered through, and then returns to the breath. Breath is life, it's energy and flow. It's the constant that ties together every pose and creates this seamless dance of motion and stillness. The same principle applies to our homes and the spaces that we inhabit. So, flow in your space is about creating this continuous natural rhythm where everything has its place and everything serves a purpose. And when you eliminate the excess, the clutter, the distractions, the chaos, you create a pathway for positive energy to move freely throughout that environment, just like how our breath moves through your body during yoga practice. One thing that I teach about is something I call clutter-free flow. And in fact, I've been working on creating an in-depth program on just this concept because it really does represent everything that this Mia Danielle channel is about. So clutter-free flow is essentially this state of being where you've eliminated the excess from your life and from your space, and you've created this environment and mindset that fosters focus and efficiency and a sense of calm. Flow is a very cool thing. Number 8 is to connect. Now, in yoga, connection is the link between your breath, your body, your mind. It's kind of everything. And that's the way each movement flows into the next. And it's this reminder that we're not separate from the space that surrounds us. We're deeply connected to it. And this connection helps us to stay present and grounded and aware of what our bodies need in any given moment. So in your home, connection means creating a space that not only feels aligned with who you are in the moment and how you want to live, but really strengthens and fosters your connection to people, maybe even pets that matter the most within that space. So it really allows your environment to become a place of support and love and togetherness, where you can feel connected to not only your environment, which is a great thing when you can feel like you can rely on your environment and you can rest inside of your environment without everything falling apart, like you have this connection, but you also at the same time are able to build and foster and grow connections to everybody else who shares that space. And this might be getting a little off subject, but your environment already is connected to pretty much everything else in your life. It's connected to your mood, your finances, your relationships, your health and wellness. There really is not any part of your life that your environment doesn't touch. I'd love to help you deepen your connection with your space and feel more confident in letting go of the excess. So you can dive deeper in my free workshop that dives into creating a holistic clutter-free space. You can see more at miadanielle.com/workshop, and I'll also have the link down in the description. Number 9 is restore. So in yoga, restoration is about giving your body and mind the chance to recover, to reset, and really just to regain its strength. It's kind of like a charging pad. It's those times of stillness and just gentle movements. Restoration isn't all about rest or sleep. It's about returning to a place of energy and wholeness. In your home, restoration happens when you clear away the clutter and the chaos and you really create a space that nourishes you. When your environment is chaotic, it can totally drain your energy and overwhelm your mind, and it can just take over all of the faculties. And those of you who have experienced living in clutter or are currently, you know what I'm talking about. But when you intentionally restore order and simplicity, your home comes back to a place where you can relax and you can recharge and feel renewed. Your home should be a place where you feel like you can be supported and rest and take downtime when you need it without everything falling apart. There's nothing restorative about having to worry the entire time you're resting that everything is going to be tumbling down on you whenever you get back up. It's a space that gives back to you, helping to restore not only your energy, but your sense of peace and your sense of well-being. So let's talk about balance. In yoga, balance is more than just standing on one leg and holding a pose without falling over. True balance comes from within. It's this combination of strength and focus and alignment. So knowing when to engage and when to release, allowing your body to find this whole harmony between effort and ease. And it can get a little bit tricky. I mean, your muscles can be just like vibrating and shaking in this like ever-long battle of trying to decide, when do I engage and when do I release? In your home, balance happens when your space reflects your needs without overwhelming you. When you've got too much stuff, it can feel like the weight of your possessions kind of throws you off center. It makes things off balance. But when you let go of the excess, you can find that sweet spot where your home feels light, but still feels anchored, still feels rooted. You don't need to lose everything because you still want that sense of grounding and rootedness. And that kind of guides us to energy, because when you restore, you're restoring your energy, among many other things. But in yoga, energy is the force that connects your body to your mind, to your intention that you're setting for that practice. Whether you're looking for strength or calm or clarity, your energy follows that intention. Every breath, every movement, it channels that focus, helping you to align with the energy that you need in that moment. And I've talked many times about the relationship between your environment and your energy on so many different levels inside of your space. The energy of a space is shaped by the intention you place on it. So you have the power to curate different types of energy depending on what you need, whether it's motivation in a workspace or calm in your bedroom or inspiration in a creative area. When you thoughtfully design your environment, it doesn't just serve a practical purpose, but it really becomes this supportive, energetic force in your life. This is the heart of an intentional space or intentional space curation, environment by design. This is where you get that return of investment, whether it's investment of time or energy or money or whatever it is, you get that return of investment with the energy that your space gives you day in and day out on repeat. I go into this quite a bit in my free workshop. I recommend that you check it out if you haven't already, and you can check it out at miadanielle.com/workshop. This is where I share all about creating a holistic, clutter-free environment. And a big part of that is focused on the energy that you want from your space. So we're going to land on explore. In yoga, exploration is at the heart of your practice. Each pose invites you to discover new aspects of your body, of your mind. It's a practice really of curiosity that gives you this safe space to push your boundaries and deepen your understanding of yourself. Sometimes making tiny little shifts in your alignment, whether physically or with your focus, can dramatically change how you feel in your body. The same is true for your home. Exploration is ongoing. Staying curious is really what keeps your home environment alive and interesting instead of feeling stagnant and ancient from like 20 or 50 years ago. Just like in yoga, a small shift in your space can really transform the way that you feel in that space. And this practice of exploring and pursuing curiosity in your space encourages your space to evolve and grow with you, which provides even more support as you grow and change in your own life. So don't be afraid to explore. I encourage you to explore some tiny little aspect of your home today. What tiny little shift could you make inside of your home today that might make just a tiny little shift inside of your day-to-day life? I'll see you next time.